Hey everyone, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video was super highly requested. A ton of you guys have asked me to do a video on my hand lettering / brush lettering / calligraphy. I know it's not like actual calligraphy, but it's modern calligraphy, kind of like the stuff that I'm sure a bunch of you have been seeing on Pinterest and on Instagram. And it took me a while to learn. There's definitely a lot of tips and tricks that I found helpful, so hopefully today I can pass those on to you and some of you find it useful. I wanted to make sure that it was very detailed and in-depth so that you can really get the hang of it and learn about typography. Let me know if you want to see more writing videos in the future. I can definitely do that for you. I will also have my whole bullet journal video playlist linked down below if you want to check that out. But without further ado, let's just get right into the tutorial. Alright, so getting started with the materials and supplies that you will need, there's a couple of different options that you can use. The first is the most popular, which is the Tombow dual brush pens. These are kind of like a brush marker. And then we also have the Tombow Fudanowski brush pens, kind of like the baby sister of the dual brush pens. These are smaller and more precise. You can also use regular brushes. This one is a water brush, so it has the water in it. Standard watercolor brushes. And then also, you can actually use Crayola markers. I have these Super Tips markers, but I've heard that the fatter Crayola markers work as well. I'm also going to be showing you guys how to use regular fine liners for calligraphy. I'll show you that later on, but these are just standard fine-tipped fine liners. And lastly, you're going to want to keep in mind the type of paper you're using, because you want to make sure the paper is smooth and not textured in any way, because the texture will actually fray any marker tips that you use, and it'll also make it harder for you to get a smooth calligraphy stroke. If you're a complete beginner at calligraphy, I recommend doing these exercises, just kind of doing a wavy line. What you're going to want to do is make sure that you are using less pressure on your upstroke and more pressure on the downstroke, and this will make it so that your upstrokes are thin and your downstrokes look thicker. Doing this exercise will also help you figure out the proper grip you should be using. You want to make sure you're not using the tip perpendicular to the paper, kind of at a diagonal, so that you have more control, and it'll help you when you're constructing your letters. So now on to the basics of calligraphy and typography. I wanted to talk about this just because it'll help you guys later on. As you can see, I've drawn sort of like a guide, kind of like what you would do in kindergarten when you're learning to write letters. The middle space is for your X height, the top space is for ascending letters, and then the bottom space is for descending letters. So if you're wondering about X height is basically the height of all of these middle-sized letters, like an A, an I, an X of course, an N. As you can see, they fit perfectly within those middle lines. Characters that are descenders obviously descend into the lower space, but as you can see, the X height is still the same. They just hit that bottom line when they go down. So these letters would be your P's, your J's, your Q's, all of that. Same thing goes for letters that are ascenders, except these are for your H's, your T's, your L's, anything that hits that top line. What I would recommend is to practice doing the whole alphabet. That's the only way you're going to get the hang of it. Just make sure you do a thin upstroke and a thick downstroke, and you can practice this a ton of times, and this is how you'll also find your stylistic preference, because there's different ways that you can do every single letter. As I'm showcasing here, there's like different variations of S's that you can do, R's, all of that stuff, and you'll only find your favorite by practicing it. When you get the hang of writing letters and all of the downstrokes and upstrokes, it's time to put it all together, and this should be pretty simple if you've been practicing your letters, because they kind of just seamlessly connect. Just make sure you're not going too fast or too slow. You want to be at a steady pace. If you really want, you can also draw those guidelines that I drew earlier, and that'll help you to get your X height and your baseline all the same if that's the look that you're going for. But of course, as you're going to see very soon, you can actually switch things up and change the X height and the baseline of all of these letters. This is something that you can do when you get a little bit more comfortable with calligraphy and hand lettering, because it adds a little bit more personality to your hand lettering. It looks a little bit more whimsical and fun, and there really isn't a formula for doing this. You kind of just get an eye for it once you practice it a lot. Here I'm just demonstrating what I mean by changing up the baseline. The top example, you can kind of draw a straight line across, but the bottom one, as you can see, the baseline changes from letter to letter. Other things that you can do to switch up your calligraphy is change the spacing of your letters. So this one, I've done it more spaced out and more kind of italicized. And then on the flip side, I've also done an example where I've squished the letters closer together and made them thinner and taller. So it's really completely up to you. I wanted to show you guys the difference between each of the tools that I mentioned earlier and kind of talk about my tips and tricks for each one because they are completely different. Obviously the one that I've been using this whole time is the Tombow Dual Brush Pen, but the Tombow Fudenosuke pens, as I mentioned, are kind of like the baby sister of the dual brush pens. They come in hard tip and soft tip. I personally prefer the soft tip because it's the most similar to the dual brush pen. These work a lot better for smaller lettering because they are quite thin and you do have to add a bit more pressure than you do on the dual brush pens. If you didn't know, you can actually do calligraphy with Crayola markers, which is kind of like a cheap alternative to getting the brush pens. This takes a little bit of getting used to. You have to kind of adjust your grip and be super light on your upstrokes and very heavy on your downstrokes so you get that difference in the lines. Obviously, you can use watercolor brushes as well. I guess this was kind of like the original brush. The only thing is, with watercolor, you do have to re-dip your brush back into the paint quite often, or else it's going to have like a faded effect. Unless, of course, that's the look that you're going for, which is totally cool. Okay, now I'm going to show you guys how to fake calligraphy if you don't want to buy a brush pen. So I'm just using a normal fine liner and I've gone ahead and done some cursive lettering, and what you're going to do is on the downstroke of the letter, you're going to add an extra stroke next to it. So it's going to make it look thicker on one side of the letter. You can kind of pretend to redraw the word and then on the downstroke add that extra stroke. You can even leave it hollow like this, it kind of looks cool, but if you want to really emulate the brush pen effect, you just have to fill in those spaces and there you go. You have your very own faux calligraphy. Obviously it takes a little bit more time, but I think it looks pretty accurate. So this was kind of like a quick overview, but if you want to learn even more about lettering, I definitely recommend you check out Skillshare. I personally learned how to do lettering through their website. It's the best. If you don't know what it is, it's an online learning community with over 15,000 classes in design, photo, and more. You can take a class, you can teach one, and it's only $10 a month for premium membership with unlimited access to classes on mobile and offline. I've mentioned Skillshare before because I really do believe in what they're doing and I love their platform so much, which is why I partnered up with them again to give you guys a free 2-month trial for the first 250 people to click the link in the description box. Definitely check them out if you're interested in learning new skills. It's honestly such a great resource, you will not regret it. Alright guys, so those were all of my personal tips and tricks for hand lettering and calligraphy. I hope you guys learned something. If you want to follow me on Instagram and see more of my art and calligraphy and all that jazz, you can follow me at Amanda H. Lee and at Amanda H. Doodles. But other than that, make sure you check the description box. I will have a ton of important links and details there, including all of the materials and supplies that I used in this video. And while you're there, you might as well just click that little bell button so you're notified every time I post a new video. I hope you have an awesome day, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye guys.